Right. I want to complete two topics from the last chapter, and then we'll continue to the other chapter. We talked in Perek Dalet about the first war in Sefer Shmuel between Am Yisrael and the Plishtim. How we lost in this war, and all the sad things that happened. Hofni and Pinchas are dying. The ark is the Plishtim took the ark. Eli is dying. 30,000 people are dying in this war. I want to talk about two more things. One of them we mentioned in the last minutes of the previous class, that this story about the wife of Pinchas, the daughter-in-law of Eli, and her son Ikavod, remind us the story about Rachel. That Rachel also died in the way, died before Yaakov complete all what he wanted to do, before he came back home, and in her last minute she have a birth, and she died. Before she died, she called him. She named the baby. She named him Ben Oni, which means also, according to the commentators, Oni, my strength, my core. But also it could be from the sadness, the sadness because I'm dying, and this is a very sad part of the story, that Rachel is dying. And after that, we have something that something optimistic final of the story. Optimistic thing that we have a baby that will continue. That's what happened then. It's happened again here. Now this child Ikavod, we won't know what, we don't know what he will do in the next time. But I think it's the atmosphere in this perek that it ends with something good, and I think it's something similar to Binyamin. Even though Ikavod wasn't from a Binyamin tribe because he was a Kohen, it was in Binyamin area. In Shiloh. Shiloh was the capital. All of that in Binyamin area, and something new begins now. The new thing is Shmuel, that we already saw that he begins, and he will crown Shaul. He will crown Shaul from Binyamin tribe. Again, this is Binyamin, and he will start a new era. That he will fight against the Plishtim. He will beat the Plishtim few times. Sometimes also they will beat him, but it will be new hope. The new hope will be with Shevet Binyamin. So it's not Ikavod, but I think this story about Ikavod, it's like to give us a link to Binyamin, to see that there is connection like that. It will happen again. That Binyamin, when we will think that everything is lost, Binyamin will save the situation, and will start new era. When it will be? Not Binyamin, but descendants of Binyamin. In Mordechai, in Megillat Esther. Megillat Esther, again, they want to kill all the Jews, and they want to kill all the Jews, and Mordechai would save the situation. That's what will happen. So this what happened there. Again, sorry. Okay. So this is the story. I think it's in purpose. This link that we will know. I think we talked about it. That I think in our history, every time that we have a disaster, that we have an exile, we have a destruction, we have a little hope, something new that starts. And this happened here. I think it's happened also 70 years ago. 70 years ago, exactly after the Holocaust, we have a little hope that started and become to be a new era in our history. This is the first thing. The second thing is something that hiding here in this perek. So it's hiding so good that we can't read it at all in this perek, but it's something that we know from other sources that happened here. Something so important that, if you remember, in our first class we talked about 3 revolutions that we have in our 10 first parakim. 3 revolutions that impact us till today. First of the first, we talked about it, Mizkenim leNevi'im, from the Zkenim that continue the spirit of Moshe to Nevi'im, that they have new spirit from God. This is from Eli to Shmuel. The third one, that this is the famous one, we will talk about, from Shoftim to Melachim, starting the era of kings. But the second one is hiding so good that we can't see it here. We will hear about it 400 years later. 400 years later, there is a prophet called Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu was a prophet of the last 4 in the era of the last 4 kings in Yehuda. We don't have anymore the kingdom of Israel, and he's talking about the destruction of Yerushalayim, the destruction of the temple that will happen because of all the sins. Now, when he talks about this destruction, nobody believed him. Nobody believed him that Yerushalayim could be destroyed. Nobody believed him. Why? Because Yerushalayim exists 400 years as a capital. More than that, it exists probably since the era of Avraham Avinu, and it's never be destroyed. Sometimes almost all the world was destroyed, but Yerushalayim still exists. It happened when the Ashurim, the Assyria, conquered all the Middle East, burned all the cities except of one. I mean, they have a siege.
They lay siege.
Matzor. They had a siege.
They lay siege. They lay siege.
Lay siege?
Yeah.
They laid siege on Yerushalayim, and they didn't succeed, even though there was an empire. It happened 120 years before Yirmiyahu is talking. And people said nobody could beat Yerushalayim because this is the city of God. And then Yirmiyahu said, I have a proof that it could happen. It happened in Shiloh. Yerushalayim, what will happen to Yerushalayim? What will happen in what did happen? What happened in Shiloh? And Shiloh is like Yerushalayim. It was a capital for 400 years, like Yerushalayim, and it was the city of God. And this city was destroyed. So if it happened to Shiloh after 400 years, it could happen also to Yerushalayim. The problem with what Yirmiyahu said, that the destruction of Shiloh doesn't appear in the Tanakh. We don't have in the Tanakh any description of this destruction. But it happened once. It happened, but we don't know exactly when. Now, the assumption is it happened in our perek, in our chapter. Why so? First of all, we saw that they lost in this battle. We heard about what happened in Shiloh, which means to Eli, to Hofni, to Pinchas. More than that, we won't hear about Shiloh anymore. From now on, we won't hear about Shiloh, except of one expression. There will be a prophet called Achiyah Shiloni, which means Achiyah from Shiloh. So only just his name, it will be the only time that we will hear about Shiloh from now on. And there will be another capital for Israel. There will be Geva Binyamin. There will be temporary capitals. Now, Achiyah Shiloni, maybe he was like you say today, someone from. There's a lot of last names like Tzan'ani, someone from Tzan'a, Sharabi, someone from all those names that Shomrim al Hashem, not keeping the name. What? To remember the names, the names of the remember the name of the places of their grandfathers or great-great-grandfathers.
You mean of their origins, where they came from?
Yeah, where they came from. So maybe Achia Shilonit, because he came from Shiloh, it was only one generation after our story. So maybe he came from Shiloh, Achia Shiloni. But Shiloh as a city, we don't hear about it anymore. So probably in our story, this is the destruction of Shiloh. If you want another proof, we talked about it already, that we know today where is Shiloh, and there's archaeological researchers there, and there are some proofs approximately when it happened, the destruction. Some proofs because of
You mean the carbon 14 dating or something?
the carbon about in destruction they burn the city usually, so you can know when it was burned. So it's approximately in this era, in this period of time. So probably it's in our perk, the destruction of Shiloh. Why it's a revolution? Because next real capital will be Yerushalayim till today. Now Yerushalayim in this time, there is nothing important in Jerusalem in this time. Nobody thought about it as a important city till David will come there and make it as a capital. We made it as a capital in the middle of Shmuel BAYT, or in the middle of Shmuel BAYT. One of the things that he will do to make it as a capital is to bring the ark back from, not exactly from the Plishtim, but to bring the ark back to Jerusalem. Which means...
Where was it?
Where was it? This is the next chapter.
Oh.
What will happen in that? But again, I can give you a spoiler. The ark will be in the Plishtim area. They will bring it back to Israel later. We'll see why. And it will stay temporary in Bet Shemesh, and then in Kiryat Yearim. There are two places. Bet Shemesh. We will see Bet Shemesh next verse. Not in two parkim. We'll see Bet Shemesh. Bet Shemesh and Kiryat Yearim are two places on the way between the Plishtim area, which means the Chof, the beach of Gush Dan, and Yerushalayim. It will be on the way. On the way, why it will stuck there, we'll see. It will stuck there temporary, and then when the ark came back to the capital, it will come back to Yerushalayim. So I think this is a revolution that's starting here in our perek, will finish in Shmuel BAYT, in the beginning of Shmuel BAYT, this story. But the story of the ark, I think it's the story of our capital forever. Now I'm not talking about all the politics capital, about the spiritual capital that we have. So again, I think all our praise and our relationship with Jerusalem, starting with this perek, with the destruction of Shiloh. Next perek, next chapter, very interesting. Unless you have any comments, no. So let's continue. Anyone could read. We are in the beginning of perek Hey, chapter 5. Someone could read. Yeah. Thanks.
The Philistines had taken the ark of God and brought it to Ebenezer, to Ashdod. The Philistines took the ark of God and brought it to the house of Dagon, placing it next to Dagon. The Ashdodites arose early the next day, and behold, Dagon had fallen upon its face to the ground before the ark of Hashem. So they took Dagon and returned it to its place. They arose early the next morning, and again Dagon had fallen upon its face to the ground before the ark of Hashem, and Dagon's head and the two palms of its hands were severed, lying upon the threshold. Only Dagon's body remained intact. That is why the priests of Dagon and all those who come to the house of Dagon do not tread about the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day.
Alright, so what happened there, they have an idol called Dagon. Dagon is from the word dag, fish. Now we can understand why their idol looks like a fish. It looks like a fish because they are sailors. They are living near the sea, so they worship the god of the sea. So what happened? They put the ark in the temple of Dagon, put the ark there just to show who is the the idol, or who is the god, if you can call it, that wins, and who loses. What happened that Dagon felt once? They thought that it's a coincidence. The second time it felt and was broken. I think it's something. This story is very interesting or very important to show that even though Am Yisrael lost the battle, God didn't lose the battle. This is very, very interesting to see it, because in those days in the Tanakh we can see it again and again, that the nation that win thought, or this was the thought in all over the world, that the nation that win, their God win, or their God is the true God. Especially when you believe in multiply of gods, it's not that your God is fake. Your God is real, but He's weak. My God is strong. So for them, they will say, we beat Am Yisrael, but the God of Am Yisrael is the strong God. That's what happened. Another interesting expression, they said that Dagon felt on the, again, what to say, Miftan Adelet, the
Threshold.
threshold. What is the threshold? It's the stone?
Miftan is threshold. It's the bottom of the door.
The bottom of the door. Then today it's not like that, but then the bottom of the door was a stone that a little bit higher. It was a little bit higher. You can see it in very old houses. It's for, you don't want that water will get into to your house, so put it a little bit higher. So the stone is part of the gate. This is Miftan Adelet, and it's written that they don't step on this Miftan Adelet because for them it's holy, because Dagon was there. But the interesting expression is Ad Hayom Hazeh, till today. What is till today? What is today when it's written?
Yes, when it was written, I don't know.
So it's when it's written, and this is something interesting to see all over the Tanakh. When you say till today, there is some places also in the Tanakh, in the Torah, so till today, till the day it was written. When Sefer Shmuel is written, I think we didn't talk about it. When or who wrote Sefer Shmuel? The easy answer is Shmuel wrote Sefer Shmuel, like Yirmiyah wrote Sefer Yirmiyah, and Yeshayahu wrote Sefer Yeshayahu. The problem is that Shmuel died in the middle of Sefer Shmuel, so he can't write the continuing. So according to Chazal, the other two prophets that appear in this book, they wrote the end, which means Gad and Natan. Gad and Natan, one generation after Shmuel. So when it said Ad Hayom Hazeh, or it's the end of Shmuel's life, which means few years afterwards, or the end of Gad and Natan life, which means one more generation. But we're talking about new mitzvah of the Plishtim. Why it's reasonable that it's till then? Because later we won't hear about the Plishtim anymore. David will put an end to the Plishtim. Or the biggest problem that we have in Sefer Shmuel, that there are the Plishtim, won't exist anymore after Sefer Shmuel. Baruch Hashem, we have new problems every generation. So it won't be a Plishtim, it will be Aram. After Aram it will be Ashur. But this is the
לא חסר.
לא חסר, Baruch Hashem. You know that this didn't want to talk about it, but it's something very interesting. We said in the Agadah של Pesach, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, that what how I will translate והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו. That's what
that what stood for us and our fathers.
That's what stood for us and our fathers. שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, not only one wants to kill us, אלא בכל דור ודור, each generation there is someone that wants to kill us. I'm beginning with the start. What stand to us? Yeah, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו. What עמדה לאבותינו? Now, a lot of people explain, all the mitzvah that we did till now, this is our zchut. Our zchut is merit.
Yeah.
Our merit that stands for us. Hanatsiv Baal Hamek Davar said something incredible. He said the fact that every generation people want to kill us, this what stands for us. This was good for us. Why so? Because all over the history, all the nation assimilated all the time. Because of that, they don't exist. Not because of try to murder all the nations. Because they're assimilated. We don't have no Bavlim, no Ashurim, no Aramim. Why we exist as a nation? Because when we want to assimilate it, there is someone that come and say, I don't want to assimilate you, I want to kill you instead. And then we stick to each other and become to be and develop our Jewish identity. And this what keep the Jewish nation. Or as a sentence that I heard, maybe it's a famous sentence, that anti-Semitism, it's very bad for Jews, it's very good for Judaism. So that started with Amek Davar. That said, Vehish Amda. This, the fact that they want to kill us every generation, this is the fact that keeps us Jews. There are other alternative ways to do it if we want to keep us as Jews, if we want, like learning Torah. And I think the alternative is, if we don't do that, God have alternative ways to remind us that we are Jews. So it's our choice. What we prefer.
What about all the Jews assimilating in the United States?
Because I'm not a prophet, I won't say bad things about what could happen. Right? Alright, so this is what happened at the beginning in Ashdod. God hit their idols. I think this is they didn't surrender after that, but after the spiritual failure of them, this spiritual failure, but after what will happen, this will break them down. And let's read the continuing. Right?
What is it? Why did it have to fall twice? What was it? Two fallings. And also, what makes this? Why they really felt that the miftan, that the threshold was holy, because Dagon fell on it. But wasn't it obvious to them that God was stronger than Dagon? In other words, from their perspective, that we're choosing the God that's the strongest. Once it's been shown that you put Dagon and the Aron Hashem in the same room, and the Aron makes the Dagon, or destroys or defeats the Dagon, what maintained their faith in Dagon?
Okay. So the first question, I don't have an answer, but that's just to clarify your question. You ask why it's happened twice and not three. This is your question, right?
Why couldn't? Well, no, actually, not really. I was thinking, why couldn't, on the first occasion, God destroyed it? If he was going to cut off his head and his arm, do it the first time.
Yeah.
Then there would be no question.
But I ask why twice and not three? Not why not twice and not one?
I know.
Because once it could be a coincidence. And I think for all of us, or in all our great stories about dreams, it started with someone that had a dream, and he thought it's nonsense, and then he dreamed it again, and then he understood that something this is something serious. I ask why not three, because usually in the Tanakh, when something repeat again and again, it's repeated 3 times, and then they understand that this is something serious. We read about it already in the first prophecy of Shmuel, that God called him 3 times. So why twice and not 3? I don't know. I think maybe the 3rd time will be when God won't hit Dagon, it will hit them. The 2 first time it was with Dagon, and then he will hit them, will hit the people. This is the 3rd time, like we said a lot of time. Twice it doesn't make any change. The 3rd is the important. So this is for that. Your question, why didn't they left their
God? Why did they abandon their God? Why
yeah. Again, I think people don't leave their faith so fast. Especially in those days that they believed that our God is real and also their God is real. In this battle, our God win. But maybe if they believe in their God, they have to make him stronger, to help him, to support him, to worship him better, things like that. I think like every religion that you have, like I just talked about it today with my student about the Christianity and Judaism. That one of the proofs of the Christians is we're stronger. We're stronger, and you can see all over the history in which low place the Jews, the situation of the Jews in all over the world, and the situation of the Christians. Now, I think it's a very, very difficult argument. Today we have some more answers. Today, like you said, in the 60 last years, we have some answers. But all over the 2,000 years of history, very, very difficult question. I don't think that we should leave Judaism because they are stronger. So it's not exactly like here.
That's not our philosophy. That's not our philosophy. Is not that if we have setbacks, that proves that their God is stronger than our God. We never felt that way. The philosophy of Judaism is if we have setbacks, we've sinned, and there's a reason for it. There's a way that God wants it. Whereas their philosophy seemed to be the winner takes all kind of thing, right? They didn't have that philosophical concept. I don't think that, from what I can see, that which God is stronger. It's not a question of one. They didn't have this idea that the God would let the other God win in order to teach a lesson.
Right.
It's a Jewish concept, no?
Yeah. I don't know exactly their philosophy. I suppose because in those days when there are multiply of gods, there was for each god there is his area. Dagon is for the beach. Aron Elohim, it's for the mountains. Now the Dagon hosts our God, and this is not good hosting. It's not. It's not. This is not the way. Because of that, they will bring back. They will bring back the Aron, the ark. But I don't think that this will make them to leave their faith.
I was just thinking that if you have, let's say, two nations fighting and one beats the other, doesn't negate the God of the other nation. It just makes it he's weaker at this point in time.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. But here it's really interesting situation that they was stronger, but their God was weaker. This is the interesting situation here.
This story also shows you that, I mean, it's a lesson to the Jewish people, that God doesn't need the Jewish people.
Right.
God can fight his own battles. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas the Jewish people need God. God doesn't really need the Jewish people.
Right. And like I said, I think we talked about it before, that the fact that they took the ark is they think that God is working for us. He's our machine. Instead of to do the opposite, that we worship God. I think also in the story that, I don't know if we will reach to this story this year, but when David taking the ark to Jerusalem, which means it's kind of the continuing of this story, again, it's the same point. That I think in the beginning David think that the ark will serve him, and then you understand that this is the opposite. He will serve the ark. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Sukvav.
The hand of Hashem then became heavy against the Ashdodites, and he devastated them. He struck them, Ashdod and its surrounding areas, with hemorrhoids. The men of
what is hemorrhoids?
Cholim.
That's right.
The men of
I think it's not hemorrhoids of us today. It's something else. It's I don't know exactly what is it. Also in the Tanakh, also in the but it should be kind of animal.
Swellings.
What is swellings?
Gof.
Right. I don't know. I think we'll see from the continuing. It should be something, a kind of animals. We'll see why, right? We'll see, but something not so delightful. I think not so good. They think it's a kind of disease or something like that, or animals, right?
The men of Ashdod saw that it was so, and they said, "Let the ark of God of Israel not stay with us, for its hand has been hard against us, and is against Dagon, our God." They summoned and gathered all the governors of the Philistines to them, and they said, "What shall we do about the ark of the God of Israel?" They replied, "Let the ark of the God of Israel be transferred to Gath." So they transferred the ark of the God of Israel. It was after they transferred it that the hand of Hashem was set against the city, causing a great commotion. The hemorrhoids struck the people of the city from small to great, and they were afflicted internally with hemorrhoids. Then they set the ark of God to Ekron, It happened when the ark of God arrived in Ekron that the people of Ekron cried out and saying, "They have transferred to me the ark of God of Israel to kill me and my people." So they summoned and gathered all the governors of the Plishtim and said to them, "Send away the ark of the God of Israel. Let it return to its place and not kill me and my people." For there was a panic of death in the whole city. The hand of God was very heavy there. The people who did not die were stricken with hemorrhoids, and the outcry of the city ascended to heaven.
Right. So the ark were in 3 places, or you can say maybe 2.5. The first is Ashdod. Probably Ashdod is the holy city of the Plishtim, because they have the temple. Why so? Because Ashdod it's near the sea. Till today, the biggest port in Israel is in Ashdod. It wasn't all the time. Most of the years it was in Yaffo, but till today it's in Ashdod. Ashdod is near the sea. They see that they can't hold the ark. They don't want that our ark will be with their gods, that not can't sit together, and they sending him to Gat. Why Gat? I have 2 assumptions. One of them is Gat is not near the sea; it's a little bit closer to the mountains. If we think about the map, we have in the west, near the beach, we have Ashdod, a little bit souther, Ashkelon, a little bit souther, Gaza. Even today, those 3 cities of the Plishtim near the sea, and then there are two other cities a little bit closer to the mountains, Gat and Ekron. So they bring it to Gat. Gat also, most of the heroes of the Plishtim came from Gat. Which means this is maybe the strongest city. Maybe for them Ashdod is the holiest city and Gat is the strongest city. One famous Plishtim that came from Gat is Goliath. After the ark hit also the people of Gat, they sent it to Ekron. Now Ekron, maybe there wasn't the holiest and the strongest, maybe there was the smartest, and they said, "Don't bring us the ark. We don't want it here. It's bringing only damage." And then they said, "Take it away." And we stop in this place, this chapter. The next chapter, I think, is the continuing of the story. I don't know why they cut it in the middle of the story to 2 chapters. Maybe it's because it's too long. But the continuing of the story is what they do. The interesting thing here is that they understand that there is something very holy here. Like we said at the beginning, that Am Yisrael maybe didn't understand it so much, but the Plishtim understood it more than us. Like I said, that I felt it in the BAYT, that the Arabic understand what is tefillah of Jews. It's happened also here. And how they sending the ark? They said we have to send it in the most holy way that we can send an ark. And this is the beginning of next chapter.
Can I ask you, why did they keep calling the ark by different names?
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, when they captured it, it was the Aron Elohim,
mm-hmm.
and then they called it Aron Elokei Yisrael,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Aron Elokei Yisrael.
Yes. And there is the beginning is the most in the first time.
And they come back to call it Vishlachu es Aron Elokim.
Yeah. In the first time, it's the most interesting. It's Aron Brit Elohim. No, Aron Brit Hashem Tzvaot Yoshev Kruvim. This is the longest name. I think each time it's to show us how people relate it. When there's something that we have a few, I call it nicknames. It's not nicknames, but a few expressions how to express his name. Is how people relate him. Which means we relate him at the beginning as Aron Hashem Yoshev Kruvim, that he's sitting there, and then they like disturb him to sit there. The Plishtim call it Aron Elokei Israel, their God. Aron Elohim, which means the din. And because of that, it just shows how people relate the ark. I can give you another example that's a very interesting example, how people relate someone that this is this famous example. Who went to bring Rivka from Haran? It was Eved Avraham. that according to the Midrash it's Eliezer. Probably it's also according to the Pshat, even though his name is not mentioned there. Why his name doesn't mention Eliezer? Because this giving the Torah the opportunity to play a little bit with his name. Sometimes he appears as Ha'eved, sometimes as Ha'ish. Ish in the Tanakh is someone important. Now you can see that when he talked to Avraham or talk about Avraham, he is Ha'eved. When he talked to Lavan, he is Ha'ish. So this is we can see by his name how people relate him. More interesting in the story about Ishmael. If it we're talking about if it was Ishmael when Avraham banished him, that his name doesn't appear there. There is some different ways to call him. Hayeled, Hana'ar, Haben, Ben Ha'ama, the son of the. Now Ben Ha'ama, the son of the again, the son of the servant is when Sarah talking to him. Haben, the son, is when Avraham talking to him. Hayeled is when Hagar talking to him, because he's a child. Ve'ana'ar, this depends. This is, I think, usually when God talk about him. So this is very interesting to see the point of view of each one of them. I think also in the ark, it's not in each place it's appear, but in a lot of places we can follow this and see that usually it's how people relate to the ark. Right?
Or relate to Yisrael.
Or to the ark. I mean, if you appreciate the ark, if you feel that the ark, this is, like we said, like a machine, like a war machine, or like something that you have to respect, or how people relate the ark, this is the way that it's appear here in the story. Do you want to continue the next chapter? So let's just only read the first paragraph. Right? So let's read the 5 first psukim. Right?
The ark of Hashem had been in the land of the Philistines for 7 months. The Philistines called upon the priests and the sorcerers, saying, "What shall we do about the ark of Hashem? Inform us how we should send it back to its place." They replied, "If you are sending back the ark of God of Israel, you must not send it back empty-handed, but you must certainly send it back a guilt offering to him. Then you will be healed, and you will realize why his hand would not turn away from against you." So they said, "What is a guilt offering that we should send back to him?" They answered, "According to the number of Philistine governors, 5 golden images of hemorrhoids and 5 golden mice. For the same plague is upon you all and upon your governors. Make your images of hemorrhoids and your images of mice, which are demolishing the country, and give them as homage to the God of Israel. Perhaps."
All right. Let's stop in a minute here.
You didn't finish it. You didn't finish the sentence.
"Perhaps he will alleviate his hand from upon you and your gods and your land."
Right. So they want to bring a present. We understand by the present what was their problem. Now, if they want to do from gold mice, that we understand what is mice from gold. What is, I'd say, heritage?
Hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids?
Hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids from gold. I don't know exactly how you can make it. So probably tchorim or afulim that's written here, it's not what we call in Hebrew today. Probably. What about the mice? I think, and we have some scenario, some events that happened in the Tanakh that mice brought their disease. The mice brought the disease. So probably they understood that the problem is the tchorim, that we don't know exactly what is it, that the mice brought. So that's what the present that they gave. Why this present? Why to give a present of the disease? I think maybe, again, in their point of view, when you have multiply of gods, each god have his own gun. So, like the gun of the weapon of Aron Elohim is that. So let's give him from here. This is your weapon. This is the way that you can fight against us. So this is the present that we will give you. So they bring back Aron Elohim with their presents. Is it a good deed or bad deed? I think it's very interesting because if Jews would have do such a thing, they will criticize them. It's not, we shouldn't do like that. But according to their point of view, I think that they did the best thing that they could do, and probably they succeeded, which means the ark didn't attack them anymore, like that. When we'll see next week that when the Jews try to relate the ark in the same way, the ark will hit the Jews also. Which means we have different standards than what they should behave, and I think that's what we will say in the next week.
The bubonic plague, I think, was brought by rats or mice.
The what?
Bubonic plague.
What is bubonic? Ken.
In the Middle Ages.
The Magifa Shoah. If you ask me, my assumption is also the devil in the from the plagues was a Magifa Shoah. How do you call it? The bubonic plague. This is the devil and the Shechin in the plagues. And what brings the devil? This is the arov that before. What is arov?
The wild beast.
Wild animals. Which wild animals? This is my assumption. It's rats. And from where the rats brought this disease? From not mosquitoes. From
lice.
Lice. From lice. This is the kinim before. And from where the lice brought it? From the frog is vayivasha ye'or, which means the water was not spoiled. How to say?
Contaminated. No.
Dry up.
What?
Yavesh.
No, not dry up.
No, vayivash. It was
Vayivash is stinking.
It was spoiled.
Was spoiled. The ye'or was spoiled. That caused the lice. That caused the arov. That caused the devil. That caused. We have all this chain reaction. But I think it's also the Magifa Shchora, the bubonic plague.
Well, bubonic, I think there were big lymph nodes that people had, and that may be the Tchorim or the Apolim. They may have swellings of lymph nodes and so on. That may have been the.
So it could be that this thing is the Shechin, because of that, and right. So this for Pesach.